as we turn the calendar to February, typically the coaching carousel has run its course, right? Maybe there's an NFL hiring or two that kind of shake things up, but this year the thing just hasn't stopped spinning. And we got another big bombshell last week as Chip Kelly, the sitting head coach, mind you, of the UCLA Bruins, moves to the offensive coordinator position at Ohio State, who is now a conference rival of UCLA. So he goes to a conference mate of his current school where he was a sitting head coach and now takes a demotion on paper to become the offensive coordinator. And much has been said about this. Obviously, we're talking about this a little bit after, but it's an insane, pretty much unprecedented move at this point. I know Chip Kelly was kind of not long for UCLA at this point. There was a lot of hot seat talk going into this year. He was very vocal about how unhappy he was with the situation at UCLA. So this move maybe makes sense for him, but it's certainly not a great look when your head coach does this. And, you know, with all the surrounding stuff that he's talked about with NIL and recruiting, and with all the other moves that we've seen, Nick Saban retiring, other coaches being very outspoken, it's a very interesting crossroads that we find ourselves at. As you watch all this unfold, you can't help but feel maybe not sorry for, but it's a really tough time to be a college head coach.
Which is kind of the point here, right? Because you're looking at this. He's not making a jump to a Power Five from a G5, right? We see that happens all the time. He's not even making a jump from like a lesser conference, right? In yesteryear we could say, oh, Pac-12 for Big Ten, maybe. That's not a thing anymore for UCLA. This is a Big Ten school now, and so it's not a jump for Kelly. It's not a jump for him going from like a conference to a conference or like a better program, whatever else. I mean, kind of a better program, but it's not like UCLA is exactly short for cash or just in an awful place. The problem right now just comes down to competitive balance and the fact that I think Chip Kelly, personally, I don't think that he wants to kind of just sit over there and be okay, right? I think he wants to win. I think there's a lot about college football that's changed for some of these coaches where they're going to say, you know what, it's not worth it. I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep, having to struggle to sort of recruit and watch my best players get poached by money from someone else. I don't want to keep struggling to kind of put a team together and then, have to worry too much about keeping a roster together middle of the season. I just want to think about ball. And now that's what he gets to do. He just gets to think about ball. He gets to go to Ohio State, which is a great football program. They got a lot of really great players. They did, amazingly well in the transfer portal. And, now they're in a position where they're able to say, not only have all those things happened and that not only is all that true, but now we get one of the better signal callers in college football currently available, right? And not just good signal caller, but a guy who's led a program before and can be a voice of leadership in that offensive room. So, man, like this guy, I think has a good fit in Ohio State. Yes, technically a demotion on paper, but I think it says a lot more about the state of college football than it does about one guy taking a job, right? There's a reason why this coaching carousel won't die out. It's because there's so many variables now at play as people are making decisions, as the landscape is shifting, so many other variables are going on. There's so many factors to consider as a coach now that I think a lot of these guys are kind of thinking about it, considering things, talking with agents, figuring out what they have at their school, talking with the AD to figure out resources, and trying to figure out what their best path forward is for their career. Because you got to remember, these are people too.
Yeah.
They get buyouts, they get whatever, but they want to keep employed, right? They want to keep money coming in and not worry about where the next paycheck could be coming from for whatever lifestyle they're used to at this point. So, for Chip Kelly, I think fantastic move. I think it's mutually helpful for Ohio State, but it maybe underpins some bad things for college football, at least in the short term. I don't think long term, but at least in the short term.
As long as Chip Kelly is not using this as a retirement gig, right? I
Right.
that's not something I've heard a lot of people mention the possibility of. There's a slight possibility that, Chip Kelly's looking to just kind of ride off into the sunset and coast off into the sunset.
There's a chance, yeah.
But as long as that's not happening, I think this is a fantastic hire for Ohio State. And I think the odds of him taking their offense to the next level are way, 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 way higher than with Bill O'Brien, the guy they previously tabbed for this position, who is off to be a head coach now in his own right. So I think this is a great move for Ohio State. Anytime that you can pluck a sitting head coach to come run your offense, I think that's a great look for your program. It's a tough look for the other program. We talked a little bit how we think this is a good move for Chip Kelly, just where he's at in his career. He had been very open about how, distraught he was with everything that's going on. But more and more coaches just seem really burnt out, right? Like they just seem, from a head coach level, I can't tell you how hard it would be to be a head coach and then maybe try to call plays or maybe try to do anything other than just be a CEO at this point. You see a lot of them even hiring general managers to help with the talent acquisition part. And it's an almost impossible job to keep all the plates that you need to keep spinning. And I don't blame people for thinking that there might be greener pastures in a coordinator position. You have guys like Sean Elliott at Georgia State, the head coach of Georgia State, to your point, Garrett, of, guys just maybe getting tired of the struggle of being at a program like Georgia State. Spring practice had begun, and he announces that he's leaving to take an assistant position at South Carolina, and they have to put spring practice on hold while they figure out their head coach position. So I think it says a lot about the state of college football.
Gracious him. How about